Wars are not won on battlefields. They are won in counting houses, in quiet rooms filled with ledgers, in conversations no soldier will ever hear. What if the true moment a war is decided is not when the first shot is fired, but when the first loan is approved? History tells us stories of courage, tactics, brilliant generals. We remember empires rising through steel and fire. But behind every cannon blast, behind every marching army, there was something far less heroic and far more decisive. Money. Not just gold in vaults, not just coins exchanged, but credit, debt, promises of payment backed by power. Who feeds the army? Who builds the ships? Who insures the cargo? Who decides which side can afford to keep fighting and which side runs out of time? There is a hidden architecture beneath every major conflict, a financial skeleton holding up the visible body of war. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because wars are not won by the strongest army. They are won by the side that can pay to keep going. Tonight, we step behind the battlefield, into the world where wars are decided long before they begin. Before modern banking, power was simple. Kings ruled by land. Armies were raised from feudal obligations. Wealth meant territory, harvest, tribute. In medieval Europe, if a king wanted war, he needed loyalty, knights who owed him service. But loyalty had limits. Campaigns were short. Seasons dictated strategy. Wars ended not because of peace, but because of money running out. Then something changed. In the merchant cities of Italy, in places like Florence and Venice, a new system emerged. Banking families discovered something revolutionary. Rulers didn't need to own wealth. They could borrow it. The rise of credit transformed warfare. During the Renaissance, powerful banking dynasties like the Medici Bank financed monarchs across Europe. War was no longer limited by what a kingdom possessed. It was limited only by what it could promise to repay. Then came the age of empires. In the 17th century, the creation of the Bank of England changed everything. For the first time, a nation institutionalized permanent public debt. The government could borrow vast sums from private financiers backed by future taxation. This innovation allowed Britain to wage prolonged wars against France under Napoleon Bonaparte. While Napoleon conquered through military brilliance, Britain sustained war through credit. Its navy never stopped sailing. Its armies never stopped being supplied. The world before financial warfare was chaotic and seasonal. The world after it became industrial, calculated, relentless. Wars were no longer events. They became investments. Here is the first truth rarely discussed. Victory often belongs not to the most courageous nation, but to the nation trusted by lenders. During the Napoleonic Wars, Britain's ability to borrow at lower interest rates than France became a decisive weapon. Investors believed Britain would repay its debts. That belief allowed it to finance coalitions across Europe. France, by contrast, faced higher borrowing costs. Financial instability weakened its endurance. The battlefield was visible. The bond market was not. Fast forward to the 20th century. During World War I, European powers burned through unimaginable resources. By 1917, Britain and France were financially exhausted. The decisive shift did not come from trenches. It came when the United States entered the war, not only with troops, but with capital. American banks extended massive credit lines to the Allies. Supplies, food, weapons, all financed. When the money flows in one direction, so does victory. After the war, the defeated powers were buried under debt and reparations. Financial punishment reshaped Europe's political future, laying groundwork for World War II. Notice the pattern. Wars create debt. Debt restructures power. Power determines the next war. And somewhere in that cycle, private financial institutions grow stronger regardless of who wins on the battlefield. The first revelation is this: wars are sustained by belief in repayment, and belief is a financial weapon. Picture London during the height of empire: dimly lit offices, clerks calculating bond yields, ships crossing oceans, not just carrying soldiers, but insured cargo, financed by merchant banks. Every cannonball had a cost. Every uniform was backed by credit. In the American Civil War, the Union's advantage was not only industrial capacity, it was access to larger, more stable financial markets. The Confederacy struggled to secure foreign loans. Inflation spiraled. Currency collapsed. Logistics is mathematics. Armies march on supply chains. Supply chains run on credit. During World War II, the United States introduced the Lend-Lease program, effectively becoming the arsenal and banker of the Allied world. Weapons were not simply given, they were financed. This economic leverage positioned America at the center of the post-war global order. In 1944, representatives met at the Bretton Woods Conference. There, a new financial architecture was created. The US dollar became the anchor of global trade. Institutions were born to manage international debt and reconstruction. What appears as military victory often conceals financial reorganization. Countries devastated by war accept loans for rebuilding. Loans come with conditions. Conditions shape policy. Policy reshapes sovereignty. Look at more recent conflicts. Wars in resource-rich regions are followed by reconstruction contracts, investment flows, strategic debt arrangements. The pattern is consistent. Conflict destabilizes a region. Financial institutions step in. Debt binds the future to external influence. Official narratives focus on ideology, but budgets reveal priorities. When a nation can borrow endlessly, it can fight endlessly. When it cannot, it negotiates. Everything fits together once you see the hidden balance sheet beneath history. Now we arrive at the deeper layer. Across centuries, from Renaissance banking families to modern central banks, one principle remains constant. Control the flow of money, and you influence the outcome of wars without firing a shot. Empires fall, dynasties collapse, governments change. But financial institutions evolve and persist. Central banks operate independently from elected leaders. Investment houses manage assets larger than national GDPs. Sovereign debt markets react instantly to political instability. The continuity is not about conspiracy, it is about structure. War requires three things: manpower, resources, and financing. Manpower can be drafted. Resources can be seized. But financing must be trusted. The plan is not a secret meeting in a dark room. It is a system built over centuries, a system where debt becomes leverage, leverage becomes influence, and influence shapes geopolitical outcomes. Think of it as gravity: invisible, constant, unavoidable. The side with access to deeper capital markets can endure longer conflicts. Endurance becomes victory. Victory reshapes the world order. And the architects of the financial system remain indispensable regardless of which flag flies higher at the end. That is the great revelation. Wars are not interruptions of the financial system. They are extensions of it. Does that power still exist? Look around. Modern warfare is not always declared. It is economic, digital, informational. Sanctions can cripple economies without a single missile. Currency manipulation can destabilize governments. Investment funds can influence corporate behavior across continents. Large asset managers control trillions in capital. Sovereign debt markets can punish political decisions within hours. Credit ratings influence national policy. Conflicts today often begin with economic pressure, long before troops mobilize. Trade restrictions, frozen assets, Strategic resource control. These are tools of modern warfare. Wars that don't look like wars. A nation cut off from financial networks struggles to function. A country facing capital flight cannot sustain prolonged instability. The battlefield has expanded. It now includes stock exchanges, energy markets, shipping lanes, semiconductor supply chains. Money still decides endurance. Endurance still decides victory. The uniforms may change. The principle does not. So the next time you hear that a war has begun, ask a different question. Who financed it? Who insured it? Who benefits from the debt that will follow? Because the loudest explosions rarely reveal the true source of power. Perhaps the most decisive battles are fought in silence, in boardrooms, in bond markets, in agreements signed far from the front lines. And if wars are won before they begin, then history is not just written by the victors. It is balanced by the lenders. The question is no longer who will win the next war. The question is, who is funding it?